Hey guys, how's it going? Octopus here and welcome back to evercrisis. We're going to be talking about Glenn, his new setup, giving you guys a wish list, how to build him, and then go into his whole entire kit review for this setup. But you guys should already know there's a crossover coming up with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It's getting released on PC, so they're going to be releasing Aerith, Yuffie, and Barret are getting a really good banner. At least it looks like it costume-wise, but it is going to be limited. So limited banners are happening left and right, and my huge recommendation usually is just pull for limited stuff because they have been making the biggest impact in the game. And that really sucks to say out loud, but it's the truth, and I'm here just to give you guys advice. We can have another video, or you guys can come on my stream and we can talk about the whole debate on like how the banner's been, but I want to keep this video as a banner review, talk about the weapon, the costume, and go into all that. But I do want to give you that advice in the beginning of the video where save for those limited banners, save for your favorite characters, and save for ultimate weapons as well. You need about 90,000 blue crystals to guarantee an ultimate weapon, and sometimes these ultimate weapons make or break a fight depending on what you're doing. But a lot of limited banners coming, and it's not easy to choose. So with that out of mind, let's just review Glenn and let's talk about it. Let's start off with his costume. Now, again, I like to keep these videos where I actually showcase the costume and talk about it a little bit. And he's, I guess, looking into the monk era for his style. And it does look good for Glenn. I don't care about Glenn. I'm sorry. I played Final Fantasy VII for Final Fantasy VII characters I grew up with, not Final Fantasy VII characters that they're pulling out of nowhere to create a new story for. So personally for me, Glenn, Matt, and Lucia characters, they look okay, they look great, right? But I don't personally care for them, so I don't personally build them. I'd rather go pull for my husbandos and waifus, like I always say. So if he is one of yours, then yeah, honestly, weapon is huge, man. That's what he's known for. Huge, huge, huge. So all on your taste on this one. Just want to showcase it before we jump in, talk about the actual stuff. We got beat to protection on an Arcanum. And this is really good because HP and survivability for defense is something that we need. And sometimes we're really rearranging our weapons, especially our materia, and taking away so much damage just to add more survivability. And then most of the time too, we're forcing other characters to carry more guild weapons to do physical defense and magic defense all in order to survive the harder content. So when an Arcanum comes with HP and defense up, it's really, really good. So this is the best ice costume out there at the moment. Ice ability damage 35% because it is Arcanum. Survivability with it because you don't really need any other stat on it too much because our abilities and our weapons are really good to max out everything. So costume wise, solid Arcanum. Now let's talk about the weapon. Blade of Ruin. If you get one copy solid with a little bit of overboost here because they don't show you just a blank copy anymore. Technically they do, just not at level 120, but it goes from 520 physical ice damage. It has provoke for 60 seconds, no extension, and it increases command gauge 10%. I'm going to explain that in just a second. If you do get it at OB6, we're going at 780% physical ice damage, provoke, still 60 seconds, but we go 20% increase in command gauge, and our abilities go from 4215 at OB6 to 5427, and now at OB10 it's a 6239. There's only 3 weapons in this game, including this one that allows an ice weapon to do this. Lucia's Bald Eagle, Zack's Pressure or something, and now the Blade of Ruin. So this makes a physical ice DPS team a lot better if you want to run 2 physical ice DPS, because a 6239 is very important for most of these builds. He does come with an X Sigil, and 940% is the max output for physical ice damage on Glenn. Now, overall, the provoke is specifically probably for this guild battle and certain fights, especially because we're stuck in the ice category. If you need the provoke on Glenn for some reason and you're attacking another element, you're not going to be doing that damage of that element, so they might start leaning towards a meta where now your characters like this, who are going to do DPS and provoke, now need a wind provoke weapon, a fire provoke weapon, instead of just making a solid provoke weapon that has a non-element on it, but it supports it in some other way, like gives the team attack all, defense all, but also provokes at the same time, or like in Geo, it has provoke and veil on his setup, veil protecting the entire team while also tanking most of the hits and allowing provoke and a shield to work together. Where this is just a DPS weapon, has provoke, and now that DPS has to kind of change its build to survive those hits. Not all the time, because most of the time enemies are doing AoE hits anyways. It comes towards when you provoke an enemy that's about to do 3 heavy attacks trying to kill certain individuals on the team, and then it all goes to him instead of being divided between the party. Now he takes all 3 heavy hits and he's most likely going to die. So now you have to build him to a certain point if he's your physical ice DPS. So provoke is very awkward sometimes, but most of the time it's not going to bother you, so it's not crazy. But that 940% is currently away from something new, and that's being a feature banner. They don't make these really strong. If you go all the way back to the half anniversary, 6 months into the game, we're now almost a year and 6 months into the game. You look at something like Stream Saber here, which has, I don't have a branding on it. It's got 900% physical ice damage. So it is a physical ice weapon. It doesn't have provoke and it doesn't have increased command gauge, but those aren't really game changers for a DPS. And you can see that 900 to 940 is that not that big of a difference when you're looking at new characters and their setups. Like if we take Tifa, for example, here, I'm going to go off my memory and hopefully this is correct. Yeah, 940%, but if HP is 70% or more, 1.2 damage. Our damage dealers are a lot stronger now. You're going to notice content, especially I was doing the new critical last night. Content is a lot harder. So a character at 940 is a character that's a little bit of old news, right? Not saying that 940% physical ice is not going to do damage. If you need an Arcanum, he's going to solidly help you do tons of ice damage. Trust me, that's still a really high number. And other characters who run like 750, 800% are still hitting giant numbers. But as we move forward, content gets harder. The lifeline of these weapons diminished the lower they are compared to everything else, especially when the bosses have more HP. And HP sponges are becoming more of a thing in bosses. So, little emphasis on that 940, provoke, and then increase command gauge. Solid weapon still, solid character, really good costume. These are things to just keep in mind, that 940 isn't above the meta at the moment. It's just right there, but not really. Now, the increased command gauge is specifically for Dread and fights, I would say even the dungeon ranking, battle rankings, where the command gauge goes slowly. This increases the command gauge by 20%. That's a red triangle that's slowly filling up and depletes when you go in defense mode. That slowly fills up during this new guild battle, so this weapon's lean towards that guild battle. Besides that, we don't really need it. It's very, very niche, and you're going to use this for maybe 5% of the content, if any. Unless they really start bringing out Dread and more enemies. This weapon's just a 940 physical ice that makes your tank, makes your DPS have to go tanky in certain fights. So, what do I think of Glenn? Overall, it makes Glenn a very aggressive, strong DPS because Ultimatic on his setup is also a 62, meaning that you can max out his physical attack and boost attack very quickly and run solid back weapons. Again, 940, nothing to scuff at. I'm just giving you a little heads up of how it looked like at 6 months versus a year and 6 months, how that damage didn't really change because they added provoke and command gauge. So overall, if you pull them and you use them, at least it's not limited and you can wishlist his weapon and get an OB10 guaranteed somewhere down the line. Now, there is another character on here. I'm going to give you a wish list first, and then I'm going to talk about Matt. So the wish list here, let me switch camera angles so you guys can see this, is going to be Enemy Launcher, Ultimatic, Cloud's Enhancer, and Pinwheel here. That's if you don't have Cloud's weapon I just showed you, because Cloud's weapon is actually better to put in his third slot, because you're going to max out boost attack, you're going to max out physical attack, and now you're missing something else. If provoke is causing you to survive issues, then you put something with HP or defense. If it's not and you need a full DPS and you have Stream Saber at maxed out, this is going to give you the extra percentage in the back with boost ice still and having a solid physical attack stat there. But Most of us don't have that 6-1 because we can't pull for every limited. So that's why Pinwheel is on this to give you survivability with HP, and then it gives you that ice potency to max that out. That gives you a build of maxed out physical attack, maxed out boost attack, ice potency at 75 points, which is 100% ice potency. And then, of course, you have your boost physical ability potency, which comes from Ultimatic and Enemy Launcher. That's going to be at 45 points, which is almost max. So a very solid DPS. Now, if you are running him where you don't have Enhancer or Eris, this one, they're both the same. It gives boost attack 46, 39. If you don't have those, then what you could do is something like this. You put Ultimatic. Now, let me showcase this because I know a lot of people are more visual learners like myself. So I like to show you things instead of just talking about it. I do have a glint here somewhere. So let's pretend this is a new weapon in the main hand, right? And this is what it looks like in the back. So that's the first build I showed you. The second build would to be Ultimatic in the main hand. Now you have 62 boost attack, and you've got this one in the offhand at 62. Divided in half is 31 physical attack. So now what you're going to do is go ahead and get something like Pressure Ridge or Bald Eagle into this build because you no longer need that actual boost attack. So Bald Eagle plus his new weapon, 62 physical attack. He's now maxed out, and that adds ice. And then again, if you have Cloud Stream Saber, use it. If you don't, you're looking at survivability. Lots of things you guys can add. We're going to go for boost physical ability potency here. And we're going to put stuff like Mad Minute. Mad Minute for survivability and boost attack at 52 points. Now you have some survivability with 52 points. Pressure Ridge is also the other one besides Bald Eagle if you want to. It's a better option because it has more physical attack. But you do the Stream Saber, you do Mad Minute, and you do Bald Eagle or Pressure Ridge. And now you have another option because you didn't have the Enhancer here, right? If you don't have the Enhancer, then you can just do that. So let me remove that. So it's going to look something like this, right? Pressure Ridge or Bald Eagle to max out physical attack and more ice potency. Mad Minute, Pinwheel to give you maxed out on this because Ultimatic's in the main hand. You're going to have 80%, but you are losing ice potency on this one. And you're going to be at 85%, but that command gauge makes up for it, except for your summon. When you summon Shiva, Shiva doesn't get the command gauge. Shiva benefits more from the ice ability damage because that's what she's actually doing. So this build works really well, has survivability. There is weapons that have defense. So if you don't want to use Mad Minute for the HP, if you actually look under increasing his DPS, and again, you can use weapons like the guild weapons for magic defense, physical defense, all depending on what's going on because he has a really solid kit already with Ultimatic, his new weapon being 62 physical attack and boost attack. They work really well that he can DPS and tank at the same time without Veil. But you can use stuff like this where it has type 90, 62 points in physical defense, but also increasing your DPS. So there is weapons like this that you can put into this build, and you have now a solid physical defense while still increasing that boost attack, giving you enough DPS. So stuff like this, again, Stream Saber, Cloud's 6-month anniversary weapon, is a great fit in all these builds, and it also boosts up the other DPS on the team. So you have really good options on Glenn here. You can mix and match, go for the boost attack or go for the physical attack in the main hand and then switch around depending on what you have in the back. But overall, again, really solid if you want a DPS. Provoke just puts him in a weird place. Now for Matt here, really solid weapon actually. This keeps Matt as a healer while also doing Diamond Sigil, while also lowering Ice Resist and Lightning Resist if you have 50% or more HP. So at OB6, anything below it is mid to high. At OB6 is high guaranteed. You're going to have the ability for 3 ATB only and Diamond Sigil, casting these resist down on a healer that has huge R abilities for healing and buff duration. Plus the materia slot has an all cure and a heal to make your single target heals a lot stronger. So because of the all cure, you don't have to run a real healing weapon on him depending on the situation. And now you have healing, buff duration with ice resist down, lightning resist down, Diamond Sigil, 3 ATB. Very, very solid weapon format, giving him more options if he's one of your mains. So if for some reason your sub DPS can't lower the resist of lightning or ice, or the team doesn't call for it because it's not in their kit, he can now heal, do that, and his second weapon is still really good. Any weapon that has more than one thing built into it is a very strong weapon. Any weapon that only has one thing built into it and the other two ones are kind of useless is a weapon that's going to be good, just not as good as weapons that are built in multi things, right? Like certain characters have like a 4-in-1 and it's like, whoa, and that's going to be the meta. You can only hold 2 weapons on a character that affect the actual stage, so the more things they do, you technically have more weapon slots, right? So, solid character for DPS if you need the Ice Arcanum, but again, limited banners, coming right, left, and they make a big difference. So everything here is be able to wishlist. So if you are Glenn main and you just want his costume, get the costume, dip, and then save for limited. Besides all that, good luck on your polls. Thank you so much for watching. Keep on smiling, and I'll smell you later.